Good morning, kids! Nakakain na ba? Ay, hindi pa talaga yung iba. Ready na ba tayo sa ating panibagong tatalakayin ngayong araw? Ang tatalakayin natin ngayong araw ay napakadali lamang kasi ito ay mga properties of whole numbers. Na-remember niyo si IPA, APA, MPA, hindi NPA. Bawal yung NPA, di ba? Nakakatakot yun. Now, let's discuss the properties of whole numbers. Whole number operations and their properties. Commutative property of addition and multiplication. Anong ibig sabihin ng commutative property of addition? Ito muna, i-discuss natin isa-isa. Ang commutative property of addition are switching the order of two numbers being added or multiplied does not change the result when adding numbers. It doesn't matter which number comes first, the sum will be the same. Another way to look at it is buying two things in different orders still will cost the same. For example, ang addition property or commutative property of addition ay ganito. 100 plus 8 is equal to 8 plus 100. Kapag i-add ba natin si 100 at saka si 8, ang sagot ay 108. Kahit uunahin pa natin na pagsulat si 8 at saka si 100, 108 pa rin ang sagot. Naintindihan ba ang commutative property of addition? For example, ganito din. Pwede din siyang ganito ang commutative property of addition. 1 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 1. Naintindihan ba? Same ba yan? This is commutative property of addition. Naintindihan ba? That is commutative property of addition. Kahit baliktarin pa natin yan, same pa rin ang kanyang sum. Ito namang example sa baba, ang tinatawag natin na commutative property of multiplication. Commutative property of multiplication states that any number na imumultiply natin, kahit baliktarin mo pa rin yan sila, it is, or ang product niya ay same pa rin. Even if you change the order of the factors, it will not affect the product. For example, ganito. 100 times 8 and 8 times 100. Tanong ko, 100 times 8, it's 800. 8 times 100, it's 800. Remember, even if you change the order of the factors, it will not affect the product. Kagaya nito. 3 times 6 is equal to 6 times 3. Bakit? Bakit kaya? 3 times 6 is equal to 18 and 6 times 3 is equal to 18. Yan ang tinatawag natin na commutative property of multiplication. Naintindihan ba ang commutative property of addition and multiplication? Di ba madali lang masyado? Okay, may namali tayo na spelling. Dapat hindi pala ganito ang spelling. Tatanggalin muna natin to. Erase muna natin. Example natin kanina. At i-change natin ng ganito. 1 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 1. Siya ang tinatawag na commutative property of addition. Naintindihan ba ang commutative property of addition at commutative property of multiplication? Para mapadalian pa natin ang pag-explain, pwedeng gamitin natin ito siya na definition. CPA or the commutative property of addition states that any number, changing the order of the addends will not affect the sum. Yan yung definition ng commutative property of addition. Ito naman ang definition ng commutative property of multiplication or the CPM. The CPM means changing the order of the factors will not affect the product. Do not forget to copy the definition of the two. Madali lang ba ang commutative property of addition and commutative property of multiplication? Yes, napakadali lamang. Remember, ang pagbabantayan lamang natin parati ay order. Order. Si CPM at si CPA ay magkatulad lamang na changing the order, it will not affect the sum and the product. Babantayan natin yan. Ang clue word, C. Quarter. Quarter, di ba? Ang unang letter sa CPA ay C, quarter. At sa CPM naman ay C, quarter. Pero babantayan natin, kapag sum siya, quarter siya or CPA siya kasi sum man. Pero pag sinabi natin product, it is CPM. Naintindihan ba mga bata? Ang CPA and CPM? Okay, let's proceed to associative property. Associative property, addition and multiplication are associative. The order that numbers are grouped in addition and multiplication does not affect the result. Or, ang panibagong meaning niya ay, okay, sulat muna natin. Associative property of addition, excuse me. Associative property of addition or the APA, changing the groupings of the addends will not affect the sum. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng associative property of addition. Ito naman ang ibig sabihin ng associative property of multiplication or the APM. APM, changing the groupings of the factors will not affect the product. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng APM and the APA. Again, associative property of addition or the APA, changing the groupings of the addends will not affect the sum. And the APM or the associative property of multiplication, changing of the groupings of the factors will not affect the product. Sorry, this is product. That's not product. It is product. Product po dapat yan. Sorry. That is product. Erase ko muna. Will not affect the product. Okay? Will not affect the product. For example, dito tayo sa baba. 2 plus 10, ang unang grupo dito ay si 2 at saka si 10. Ang nasa labas ay si 6. Dito sa pangalawang grupo, si 2 ang nasa labas, si 10 at 6 ang magkagrupo. Pero ang tanong ko, naapektuhan ba ang kanilang sum? Let's try. Unahin muna natin ang pag-add. 2 plus 10 is equal to? Very good. It is 12 plus 6 is equal to 18. Try natin dito sa kabila. 10 plus 6. It is 16. Plus 2 is equal to 18. Naapektuhan ba ang kanilang sum? Hindi. Kaya ito ang tinatawag natin na APA or the associative property of addition. Makikita naman din natin na addition siya. Next. Dito naman tayo sa baba. 10 times 6, it is 60. Times 2 it is 120. Again, 10 times 6 is 60. Times 2 is equal to 120. Tignan natin dito. Unahin muna natin si 2 times 10. 2 times 10 is equal to 20. And 20 times 6 is 120. Nagbago ba ang product nila? Hindi. Kaya ito ang tinatawag natin na associative property of multiplication. Naintindihan ba? Okay. Punta tayo sa susunod na slide. Distributive property of multiplication. The distributive property is an algebra property which is used to multiply a single term and two or more terms inside a set. Ito yung sinasabi nating DP-MOA. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng DP-MOA? Ang DP-MOA ay distributive property of multiplication over addition. Distributive property of multiplication over addition. This is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. Bakit? Tignan natin dito. 'Di ba? Ang ginawa lamang niya ay ang si multiplication dinidistribute siya sa addition na nasa loob ng parenthesis. Tama ba? Yes, kagaya dito. Erase ko muna 'to. Ito lang ginawa sa kanya. 10 times 50. 'Di ba nandito na siya? Tama. Next, 10 times 3. 'Di ba nandito na siya? At ang nangyari, nilagay lamang yung addition sign dito. Naintindihan ba ang DP-MOA or the distributive property of multiplication over addition? Next, 3 times 12 plus 99. Ang ginawa lang muna ay 3 times 12, which is ito, tapos 3 times 99. At nilagay itong addition sign sa gitna. Yan yung distributive property of multiplication over addition. Identity property of addition. Adding 0 to a number leaves it unchanged. We call 0 as the additive identity. Remember, sino ang additive identity? Si 0. The additive identity, si 0. Or, pwede nating sabihin na any number added to 0 is the same number. For example, 0 plus 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. 0 plus 1 million, it is 1 million. Naintindihan ba ang IPA or the identity property of addition na any number added to 0, the result will be the number itself. Dito naman tayo sa identity property of multiplication. We call 1 the multiplicative identity. Multiplying any number by 1 leaves the number unchanged. Ang identity or multiplicative identity naman ng IPM or the identity property of multiplication ay si 1. Kasi any number multiplied by 1 will be the number itself. For example, 1 million times 1. The correct answer is 1 million. 235,000 multiplied by 1. The answer is 235,000. Or any number multiplied by 1 is the number itself. Again, do not forget that the multiplicative identity is 1. Naintindihan ba mga bata? Huwag kakalimutan ha. Ulitin natin. What is the additive identity? Additive identity, it's 1. I mean, it's 0. The additive identity ng addition kanina. Again, what is the additive identity? It is 0. What is the multiplicative identity? It is 1. Ulitin muna natin. What is the additive identity para sa addition? Additive identity, it is 0. What is the multiplicative identity? It is 1. The zero property of multiplication or the ZPM, multiplying any number by 0 gives 0 or any number multiplied by 0, the answer is 0. For example, 1 million multiplied by 0, 0 pa rin. Kahit anong number, 0 at i-multiply ito ng 0, ang resulta ay 0. Kagaya ng 88 times 0 is equal to 0 or 0 times 1003 is equal to 0. Let's review the CPA, the commutative property of addition. Changing the order of the addends will not affect the sum. The commutative property of multiplication, changing the order of the factors will not affect the product. The associative property of addition states that changing the groupings of the addends will not affect the sum. The APM or the associative property of multiplication states that changing the groupings of the factors will not affect the product. The distributive property of multiplication over addition, yung i-distribute muna natin yung unang factor sa may parenthesis. The identity property of addition, na any number added to 0 is the number itself, and 0 is the additive identity. The identity property of multiplication, we call number 1 as a multiplicative identity because any number multiplied by 1 is the number itself. The zero property of multiplication or any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Naintindihan ba mga bata? Sana naintindihan nyo yung videos na ito. At sana hindi kayo mahirapan sa pagsagot ng ating mga activity. Do not forget, you can call me, you can message me kapag nahihirapan kayo. Goodbye mga bata and God bless.